Zoe, thanks so much for joining us. What's been the situation in the last few hours, given that deadline from the government for protesters to leave their camp has now expired?
Yes, that deadline's well and truly passed. In fact, it passed about 12 hours ago. Ever since then, everyone's just been waiting to see what would happen, and not much has. It's been very quiet. In fact, the rally stage, which is about 150 to 200 metres from me where I'm standing, has crashed.
And I think we seem to have lost... Zoe, you still there?
Half an hour ago, you could have heard a pin drop in this area.
Zoe, sorry, we just had a little break to you there, but we've got the line back up so we can hear you now. So, and those camps are still being occupied by the same number of people. There weren't more departures from those protest camps, given that deadline was arriving?
Look, I think it's certain that a number of people have left the camp in the last few days. There's been a lot of fear, obviously, about what's been happening on the perimeters of the rally site, but we've been told that there still are about 5,000 people in the camp now. Those people have been told by the government that they've breached the order to move and that they could be charged for terrorism offences and they could get up to 2 years in jail. Many of those people are women. There are a few children, many elderly people, not that many men still in the site. I think most of the men are still manning the barricades.
So what's the expectation that might happen now? I mean, we know that the troops have been using live ammunition against these protesters. Is the fear now that there'll be some very sudden and very strong push against the protesters?
Well, there is some concern that could happen. I think everyone's hoping that there'll be restraint on both sides. We saw around the time that the deadline had passed that military on the exterior perimeters of their military cordon started closing off the last of the roads around this site using razor wire, for example, shutting down petrol stations, presumably to avoid those being used as a target by the protesters or also as a base by the protesters. But since then, we haven't seen the military start to move in. We've been told that there may be some last-minute negotiations behind the scenes. One of the red shirt leaders late last night telephoned a top aide to the Prime Minister to discuss negotiations once again. It's unclear what that's led to, but perhaps that has something to do with the delay that we're seeing with troops moving in. It really is a case of wait and see, but it's been unusually quiet overnight, and it's actually very eerie. The rally site below me is pitch black because the red shirts have knocked out all the lights, obviously, to give themselves some camouflage. And I guess there's still a possibility that the military might move in, but we're getting into the early hours of this morning now, and nothing's happened yet.
We can see how pitch black it is behind you, Zoe. A very eerie situation indeed. Zoe Daniel, where has the King been in all of this? It's a question that seems to remain unanswered about. We know that he's enfeebled and not in good health, but why has the monarchy not intervened in some way?
Look, as you said, the King's been in hospital since September of last year. He's very unwell. He has made a couple of public appearances during this crisis, one for Coronation Day, the anniversary of his own coronation, where he appeared in public but didn't speak. And previous to that, he anointed some new judges and merely made some general comments that people need to essentially do their jobs, be kind and fair to each other within this country to enable things to return to stability. But he hasn't said anything more than that. I think people have very high expectations of the King because when there was a period of civil unrest in 1992, he was able to get the warring parties together, if you like, and calm things down. As it happens, yesterday was the 18th anniversary of Black May in 92, in which around 50 people were killed.
So these red shirt protesters, they're prepared to keep doing what they're doing in order to bring down this current government and to reinstate the person that they back, Shinawatra? Is that really what it all comes down to?
Look, I think maybe that's where it started, but I think realistically that's not going to happen, and I don't think the protesters expect that. Thaksin Shinawatra, the former Prime Minister, now in self-imposed exile after being charged with conflict of interest from profiting from his position when he was Prime Minister, is the symbolic figurehead, if you like, of this movement. But I think it's gone beyond that. Many of the people who are here protesting are either working class people from Bangkok or poor people from the outer areas of Thailand. They've to a bigger picture protest about their standard of living, their quality of life and the sharing of wealth in this country, having a bigger political say, if you like. While Thaksin has been the figurehead up until now, I think this is more to do with a change of mentality that they're looking for. I'm not sure how realistic the expectation is that he would come back to lead them. I think some people think that that's a possibility in the long term, but in the immediate term what they're really looking for is new elections to take this government down, which did come to power not directly through a coup but was elected by the parliament after a coup, to have democratic elections and to put in place a government elected by the people.
So Daniel, really good to talk to you. Thanks so much.